Okay, it is the 17th of April, 2018. I am Josie Bumgardner, and I have my friend Kelsey Karr here as the narrator. So, what is your full name?
Kelsey Catherine Karr.
And when and where were you born?
I was born in Hastings, Nebraska at Hastings, Mary Lanning on December 24th, 1994.
What are your parents' names?
My mom's name is Tamra Joe Karr, and my dad's name is Marlon Delvin Karr.
And what are their occupations?
My dad owns his own business, GMC Construction. He's owned that for multiple years, longer than I've been alive. And then my mom works at Equalizer Midwest as a bookkeeper. So basically, she takes in all the inventory for all the fertilizer that comes in through the trucks.
Okay. Are your parents originally from Nebraska?
Yes, my dad grew up in Holstein, Nebraska on my grandparents' farm. And then my mom grew up in Osceola, Nebraska, where my grandpa did, um, he was an electrician, and my grandma worked for the hospital there.
Okay. And do you know if they enjoyed growing up in Nebraska?
Far as I know, they've always loved living here. They've never really expanded out. I know my mom likes to travel, but my dad not so much. He likes Nebraska pretty much. He likes to stay here. So
Okay. And if I may ask, how old are your parents?
my mom is 55 and my dad is 62.
Okay. And did your parents attend college at all?
My dad did not. He went straight to work. Basically, worked for a couple businesses and then started his own business. And then my mom went to Central Community College here in Hastings, actually, and got a degree in accounting.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have three other siblings. I have an older brother, a sister, and another brother.
And what are their names?
Aaron Karr, Angie Karr, and Cody Karr.
And if I may ask again, how old are they?
Aaron is 45. Angie is 41. Her birthday was actually yesterday. And Cody is 26.
And where are they located now?
Aaron's located in Arlington, Nebraska. It's about 10 minutes, 20 minutes from Fremont, Nebraska. My sister is located in Omaha, Nebraska, and my brother lives in Wisconsin currently.
Did they attend college at all?
I don't believe my oldest brother Aaron did. He just went straight to work outside of like high school, and then my sister is a dental assistant, so she obviously had to go to college for that. And then my brother graduated from UNK, University of Kearney.
Okay. Do your siblings have any children?
Yes, my oldest brother Aaron, he has quite a bunch. He has Weston, Garris, Adra, Jacob, and that's it. And then my sister has Maya. And then Cody doesn't have any kids. He's a fur dad. Boone.
Okay. How did you or your family come to live or reside in Nebraska?
um, I really don't know how they come to live it. I know it's through my ancestors. Um, on one side of my family, like on the Karr side, my family is from Germany, so we came from Germany on that part, and then I think it was like way back when for that though. And then my mom's side, the Hofbauer side, they're from Czechoslovakia, and I think it was my great that came over.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Is there any significance in Nebraska that's held within your family's traditions or cultures that you
Um,
know of?
I don't really think so. Not that I really know of. We really don't do anything big besides like just celebrate the normal traditional stuff like Christmas, Easter, stuff like that, but nothing like too special.
Okay. Would you consider yourself an American or a different nationality first or a Nebraskan first?
I would probably consider myself an American first because I, I always lived in America and that's where like, I never was born somewhere else. And then I would definitely consider myself a Nebraskan because I was born and basically raised here my whole life. So that's why I consider myself more like I would consider myself if I was talking to somebody higher up as an American, but I would if I was talking to somebody from like a different state, I would consider myself like a Nebraskan.
Okay. And what events, if there are any, that have happened during your time in Nebraska that have shaped your view of the state?
I really don't have any like events that happened in Nebraska that I can think of, like, cause I was pretty young. I really don't really remember any if they did happen, and I don't know. I can't even think of any at the top of my head that would actually have happened in Nebraska. But I do know like events that have happened worldwide that has happened while I've lived in Nebraska. Like the 9/11, all that stuff, and war, basically. But I don't know any like Nebraska history that has happened that since I've lived here.
Okay. Okay, now shifting more into your your life, childhood and adulthood. Did you do any extracurricular activities as a child?
Yeah, I was actually very active when I was a child. I grew up in the country, so I was constantly outside playing in the dirt. We had cornfields around us, so my brother and I would just go outside and play in the cornfields. Our neighbor would come over and ask us to help him, so like we would lay pipe and stuff like that. I so we did a lot of like farm work, and then we did like sports. My parents really pushed sports on us, so I was constantly softball for sure in the summer, basketball, volleyball, all that good stuff. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to do like gymnastics, but my dad said no and told me that we had to go play volleyball or softball.
He didn't like gymnastics?
No, he wanted us to be more hands on with the team than anything.
More team sports?
Yeah. Um, I think this like really shaped me as a person though, like all the extra activities, because now like look back on it, I got to go to college for softball, and I got to um I get to like coach now, so like like that has like impacted my life because of the sports. And if it wasn't for my dad and mom pushing me with those sports, I don't think I would kind of be where I'm at, because like all the hard working, like working on the farm and stuff like that, has really shaped my life to become a better person and a better woman than I am today. I remember hating it back in the day, like, oh, I don't want to go do this. Now I look back on it and I'm pretty thankful for everything that they have done for me.
Okay, so you would describe your childhood as good growing up in the country?
Yeah, I loved growing up in the country. It was funny because I had friends that lived in town, and I would always ask them to come out to the country with us, because I just thought there was more activities for us to do out in the country than being in the city. And I mean, Blue Hill wasn't very big, but I just thought it was more fun to be out in the country than anything. So, and I really didn't like sleeping in the city almost, because I could hear all the noises
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
So you said you attended college a little bit ago. Where did you attend college?
I've actually attended a couple of colleges. Right out of high school, I went to McCook Community College. I received a softball scholarship there, like a full tuition softball scholarship, and then I received an art scholarship through the art department. I was pretty thankful from there. I graduated in 2015 with my Associates of Arts from there. And then I attended Colorado State University in Pueblo for a year just to try to expand my horizon, I guess. And I actually didn't even like it. I wanted to move back to Nebraska, so I went for a year there, came back, and then I attended Hastings College for a year. And I'm currently not in college, but that's okay because I'm working and stuff like that. I was going to become an art teacher, but then I kind of decided against that and changed my degree. So now I plan to become an elementary teacher.
Nice. What grade do you plan to teach or want to teach?
I want to go for more of third grade through sixth grade.
Any topic specifically?
No, not really. When you're in that young age, you kind of hit everything. So you teach about, math, English, science, all that. So,
Okay.
you kind of do the whole works when you're in that young age.
And you said you are working right now. What is your job currently?
Yeah, I work at Westridge Middle School, being a long-term substitute for 21st Century in the 7th grade. 21st Century is basically life skills for students. So we talk about certain things like for school wise, and then we incorporate stuff outside of school to help bring into so they learn both life skills and educational skills.
Okay, that's cool. What did you learn about Nebraska history growing up?
Oh gosh. I've learned quite a bit, but back in the I guess I was a kid then and didn't really care, so I didn't really learn much about history going in school wise. I didn't really care to notice certain things and pay attention in class. I was pretty bad about school in elementary. Um, Looking back now, I wish I would have. But now, the stuff I learned from going to the museums and all that, that's pretty interesting. And I just now when I look at it, I enjoy learning about Nebraska more than anything than when I did back then. I just remember sitting in that class thinking, oh gosh, history wasn't one of my subjects, so I would sit there and I would doodle or something like that.
Would you say that the students you're teaching now at Westridge, would they have taught you anything? Just about Nebraska in general, or instead of you teaching them, have they taught you some things?
Yeah, they have definitely taught me certain things about, I guess more of how society is, I would say, because I grew up in a small town where we didn't have as much bullying and cliques and stuff like that. When I teach at Grand Island, which is not much bigger than where I went to school, but it's definitely, you can tell the different atmosphere, I guess to say, from the students wise, and the respect they have for one another and stuff like that. They don't really care to help one another out. When we grew up in a small town, if somebody was having troubles, we would help them out regardless if they asked or not.
Yeah. Okay, so now transitioning once again to the experiences within Nebraska. So, Kelsey, describe some of your favorite aspects of Nebraska and or your favorite aspects of living in Nebraska.
Some of my favorite aspects about living in Nebraska would probably be how everybody's a friend of everybody. Um, like I was saying earlier, you could possibly need help on the side of the road and somebody's gonna stop and help you out. So their respect and the willing to help others is a huge thing. And just like the finger waves. I know it's corny, but just to brighten someone's day to wave back on the road or stuff like that. Another aspect would be how beautiful Nebraska can actually be if you just step back away from your life and kind of view it. Like the sunsets, stuff like that, the corns and the cornfields, and like how beautiful like certain things grow around here compared to like other states.
Is there any least favorite aspects?
Yes, the climate, like the weather.
Like the weather we're having right now?
Yeah, like I'm ready for some flip flops and stuff like that, and not this cold weather.
Ready for the heat?
Yeah.
Heat wave. So, in what ways, if any, does the climate and geography of Nebraska influence your opinions and experiences in the state?
Um, I just wish Nebraska was more steady, I guess, to say, with their climate. Like it wasn't like how it has been, where it's like hot and cold, hot and cold. Um, but other than that, I think when it gets hot, it's nice out. When it gets cold, it's pretty, you know, and it affects our
Yeah.
lives, I guess.
Good to have that equal balance. Go from
Yeah.
hot and then have a month where it's cold.
Yeah, and then I don't mind the hills and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to see the mountains every day and stuff like that, but it's also nice to see like the hills and the cattle on the hills and like just certain things like that. It's like the little things I want to say towards
Yeah.
Nebraska that most people kind of bypass about
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Please describe some experiences you have had that you feel are unique to Nebraska.
Um, some experiences I would say is like when I attended Check Days, which is in Wilbur, Nebraska. That was like a huge experience, I guess.
Can you describe what that is?
It's basically in Wilbur, Nebraska. They put on like this giant Czechoslovakian event where they have like all of like polka music, they have kolaches, like different types of like Czech food. They have a parade where they like people dress up in like the Czech uniforms. They have like king and queen for Czech, and it's just like a huge like culture, I guess, for it. And that was pretty unique for me. I was pretty young when I went, but it was something that I would love to go back and visit and see, because like the whole town basically just transformed into like Czechoslovakia and contributes to Czechoslovakia. So I think that's pretty unique. And then obviously our cornfields
Yeah.
is what makes Nebraska unique, the sweet corn and all that stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Now to a more tougher question. How do you view politics in the state?
Um, I honestly don't really pay much attention to the politics in the, like worldwide, even, I guess to say. I know it's bad of me to say, but I'm not, I don't vote because I'm uneducated. So I don't want to be like in there just voting for something I don't believe in. So I really don't pay much attention to the politics in the state. I kind of pay more attention towards like if it's gonna affect my career. So like the whole thing with like teachers and school and stuff like that, which I'm not completely there yet, so I haven't really been paying much attention to it. But I'm sure once I start becoming like a full-time teacher at a school and stuff like that, I obviously will pay more attention to the politics in the state.
Okay. What does Nebraska have to offer to young people? Have to offer young people, in your opinion?
Sorry. And I would say probably Nebraska has to offer young people is great colleges and like stuff like that, like University of Lincoln, the atmosphere they have there, and UNK and Doan and all those stuff. I think it's pretty good experience for students to attend and get to expand out on the horizon and stuff like that.
Yeah, like there's the universities, the big schools, and then also the smaller,
Yeah, like
small town schools.
yeah, and like community college are amazing. Like I love, I always highly recommend community colleges first because if you are used to going somewhere small like I was, and then transferring into like a bigger school, I think I would have freaked out. Which I know some people can handle like right off the back bigger schools. I was not one of those people, so I feel like having the opportunity to attend a junior college really influenced my life because it was an easier transition and then it pushed me to go farther on to a bigger college.
Mhm. Is there any other things about Nebraska that draws people to or even away from the state?
Definitely the Huskers draw people to the state. I know like when we've traveled to like games and stuff like that, people are always like, "You guys are the best fans ever," and all this, and I think that's just like a huge thing. Like it's crazy that the Husker football team and volleyball team and stuff like that can really impact other states on our behavior and stuff like that. Things that could
Mhm.
possibly draw us away is that we don't have mountains and our lands are flat and stuff like that, and how we are kind of like when people travel through, it's a boring state to look at and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I think that would probably be the most thing, or that it is a smaller state, like smaller communities compared to like bigger states like Colorado and like Denver, where we don't have those huge foundational like cities.
Yeah. Okay. Do older friends or family members view Nebraska differently than yourself?
I would believe so. They probably do because of, like I said earlier, their society, how we act compared to how they act and stuff like that.
When they were growing up, yeah.
My parents are pretty good about, because they are kind of older for like my age. Like normally, like people in my age have younger parents, like in their 40s. Um, so like my parents being older, I think they raised us more on, respect your neighbors, respect your elders, stuff like that. Help one out, even if you don't know them. Pick up the piece of paper if it's not yours, type thing. So I think just having good morals behind it is how what my parents really pushed us to. But they definitely believe that us now are way different with like work ethic and stuff like that. Like certain other people
Yeah.
definitely view it differently than we do.
Mhm. Okay. What unique qualities do Nebraskans share?
We definitely share the term "ope" and our sweet corn.
Can you describe the term "ope"?
It's just like when you're walking by somebody and you accidentally kind of bump into them and you go, "Ope, sorry, my bad." It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, I think every Nebraskan kind of knows what I'm talking about when you say "ope."
Yes. I
So,
would have to agree with that. Okay. Um Lastly for this kind of section is what does it mean to be a Nebraskan to you?
um, I'm, I would say I'm pretty proud to be a Nebraskan because of how I was raised and like how I have like, the good morals behind it. So, to be a good Nebraskan is, helping one another when we're in trouble or if we're not in trouble and stuff like that. So I guess that's basically it. I guess like really like Nebraska shapes you to be a good person. I feel like compared to like other cities when there's like violence and stuff like that, we don't have that much around here for it to be an impact on us. So I think just to be in Nebraska means to be a good person.
Okay. Okay, so on to the last section, your future self or in the future. Do you see yourself living in Nebraska all your life?
Yeah, I want to live in Nebraska for the rest of my life. My only problem is my current boyfriend, if it continues to become something more. He is originally from Kansas, and if we have to, we might have to move down to his family farm, which is only an hour outside of Nebraska. So I don't think it would be a huge change really, but I would love to live more in Nebraska because of just my family's here, all that stuff. And I obviously just grew up here, so I would love to like my kids to grow up around here too.
Okay. Um. So you said you want your kids to grow up in Nebraska. How many kids would you want?
I want around 2 or 3 kids, preferably boys over girls. I mean, I do want one little girl sometime in my life, but I don't think I could handle multiple girls. So I really don't want. I just want around 2 or 3 boys more than anything.
Okay. So if you and your current boyfriend do get married and you end up moving to his family farm, would you be okay with raising your kids there on the farm? Or would you want them to live in a bigger town and get that different perspective or aspect on life than what you grew up in?
I would prefer them to grow up more on a farming community or in a smaller town because I know they will be raised to be like respecting others and stuff like that. Which, granted, you can do the same thing growing up in the city. I just think it gives them different aspect on life and more. This is the reasoning why we're doing it, in having them have a good work ethic on, going out working with the cattles and stuff like that, working on the farm and tractors and all that stuff. So I think it'd just be a better aspect for them to view life and a great opportunity to explore because when they get older they can go to the city and experience that too. So I think just starting them out young and get them on that lifestyle will help them transition into the people they need to be, and then if they go to the city they have a strong work ethic and stuff like that and respect their bosses and all that.
Okay. Well, I have no further questions for you. Thank you so much for letting me interview you. I know you had a sinus infection and weren't feeling the best today, but you powered through, and I appreciate that. So, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.